Hi guys, Jared Krause, host of the Buying Online Businesses podcast. And today I get to speak with Stephan Spencer. Now, this is part 2 of our long podcast. We split it up into 2 sessions because we talked for so long about SEO, because Stephan is an SEO expert and he has worked with some amazing names like Jay Abraham, who's like the godfather of business, basically, Ken Courtright, who has bought over 1,000 websites and is growing them. And even Tony Robbins says Stephan is one of the top SEO guys in the business. He is also an Amazon bestseller of 3 books, has 2 podcasts, amazing guests like Michael E. Gerber, who wrote the E-Myth, Seth Godin, and the list just goes on, guys. Now, this is part 2 of our episode, and Stephan and I talk about a thing called E.A.T, right? And I wanted to explain to you what E.A.T is through this actual episode with Stephan. Expert, authority, and trust, and how important knowing that is and understanding it is to grow a business, and also knowing it and understanding it whilst you're doing your due diligence. We also need to understand how to use that, not just in SEO, but also in our lives as well. So this is a very powerful episode. Now, please listen all the way to the end, because there is a very special gift that Stephan's going to give you and myself that you don't want to miss out on if you want to know anything about SEO and using it to buy and build a very established business. Enjoy. Now, guys, before we start today's episode, I have an important and exciting announcement for you. I'm hosting the first ever Buying and Building Online Businesses Summit, and I'd love for you to join. We have 12 world-class speakers doing 7, 8, and 9 figures in business. We have some of the world's best website brokers, SEOs, and digital marketers. Now, guys, this summit is a free event, and we're going live on the 1st of February, 2020, and it's a 4-day event. And each day we're going to have 3 speakers. And this summit is being designed to equip you with the best principles, strategies, and tactics to buy websites whilst minimizing your risk, and to also grow those businesses so you can become wildly successful with those websites you do buy. And the reason this summit's really important is because what was working in 2019 won't be working in 2020 and beyond. Because what happened in the past, and you can see in the online space, things change very quickly. So whether you're a first-time buyer wanting to buy your first ever website, or you have multiple websites you want to grow, you're going to be able to get access to the best mentors in the industry who are going to be able to feed you little gold nuggets throughout this whole event. These are going to be strategies you'll be able to use in 2020 and well beyond to ensure you can achieve your lifestyle goals and your financial goals. So guys, go to the show notes right now and grab yourself a ticket to the Buying and Building Online Businesses Summit. There'll be a link there so you can get access and register for the summit. And now let's get started with today's episode. And it's the same, like, I teach people to do due diligence in my community, right? And people listening, they can get this free due diligence tool that I have as well. Just go to my free resources thing on my site. But I teach people to do these different types of SEO, and getting like LRT and these different things helps you see those, what backlinks are actually coming into the site, to see how much like authority does this site actually have. Because you want to see what those 3 things that we talked about before on that stool, right? You've got the content, then you've got the technical, and then you've got the what was the other one?
Links.
The links. You want to make sure that you can have, like, get a good order of all those 3 with these different tools, not just when you're growing the site, but especially before you buy the site. And
for sure,
you mentioned citation, and that's something that I talk about. So I'd love to hear how you explain to people what citation actually is and how they can use it. And then we also talked about last time we had a chat, was the E.A.T.
Right. So let's talk first about the citation flow metric, and then we'll talk about citation more generally.
Yeah.
And by the way, you might want to mention for first-time listeners to your show what that tool is, that what the URL is to get to it, the one that's on your site.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. You just go to free resources. So it's buyingonlinebusines.com/free resources. And it's just on my homepage. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And I forgot to mention the URL for my free tools. And that would be marketingspeak.com/Jared. So JARYD.
Awesome. And we'll have them all in the show notes as well for both of us.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll also add to that chapter 7 from The Art of SEO, which is all about content marketing and link building. I think that'll be a really valuable chapter.
I'm going to devour this myself.
You
Thank
have
you
to
so
think
much.
outside the box. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you aren't thinking like a ad agency creative director with the content pieces that you're coming up with, you're missing out. You're not going to get much traction because people aren't going to look at just a regular article that they could have found on 500 other websites on the internet and say, wow, this is the one I'm going to mention in my article or on my resources page, right? You have to be head and shoulders above the rest with regards to remarkability. And if you do have that, something that's worthy of people sharing that, linking to it, and buzzing about it, now you're well positioned to be able to get great links. But then you have to outreach, make sure that the sites that the website owners who matter to Google, the linkerati, know about that piece of content, because they're not going to randomly think, oh, I should go to that buildingonlinebusinesses.com free resources page. I haven't been there since forever. Like literally, I've never been there. I should go check it out, right?
Yeah.
So they need to know that you've got this thing. And so you want to make it more relevant and interesting to them, and find a way to give value first rather than trying to get something from them.
I couldn't agree more. Like literally yesterday, I had a new client come up and jump on into our community, and I just said, "Hey, how do you find us? This is for my feedback." And he literally said, "Oh, a person that's already in your community recommended me to listen to your content and your podcast." And for people listening, this, like, when you give value first, like there's heaps of value coming from not just me, but guests like Stephan and our gifts that we give you and these URLs and all that sort of stuff that we put together. We're not asking for anything in return, but when it becomes so remarkable, that flow-on effect of you being able to help people further in your products and services, like it's just happened. It happens to me, and I've spoken to you about it happening to you too, where you've shared things with different people, Stephan. It's a really important thing to understand when you're going to buy a business. See how you can do that, add value, and that have that flow-on effect, right?
Yeah, it's almost like you've made yourself approachable at the singles bar.
Yeah.
Right? So they're people that you want to attract to you are attracted to you because there's something about you that makes it easy for them to walk up to you, start a conversation, or easy for you to start a conversation with them. So for example, let's say that you offered, I don't know, some sort of value add. I don't know what
Just
exactly.
like a free call or like free resource or something.
Well, let's say that you had your free resources page. There was some sort of tool that has maybe a questionnaire as part of that process. Maybe that's the one that you just mentioned.
Yeah, it is.
And
This
you
is
might say, yeah, I would love for you to look this tool over and see if I have any questions missing, because if I do, and you tell me which questions to add, not only will I add those questions, but I'll cite you as the source for that.
Yeah.
And I'll link to you from it, and I'll be very grateful for that that guidance. So that's like a collaboration instead of like, hey, I think your readers, your viewers, listeners would love this great resource I made. It's completely free. It's like you're just one of all the kind of used sales car people that are knocking on their door every day, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So this is a powerful way to add more value, and think of it like like business karma. You don't do it just to manipulate or to get something in return, but inevitably, if you play your cards right in terms of it not being a sham or some sort of manipulative tactic, you're just trying to add value, then you're going to get value out of it in return. That's how the universe works. So
it's just the law of reciprocity, right? It's like, yeah. We talked about last time we had a chat. Is business good business karma, and it's not just business, but also life. It's a flow-on effect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's bring it back.
I know I didn't answer your question about citation.
No, we went into a great direction.
I can quickly answer it. So Citation Flow is a metric from Majestic.com that is an approximation of PageRank, of Google's original PageRank algorithm. And that's all about importance, and it's not about trust, because an innovation later came where the PageRank algorithm incorporated trust, and that's the trust rank algorithm. That's what trust flow is based on, or is trying to approximate. So that's citation flow. Citations are, if you think about, like, how did Google outperform all the other search engines of the time back in the day, Alta Vista, InfoSeek, WebCrawler, et cetera? It's that it was based on citation analysis and not just pure link popularity.
Yeah.
So link popularity is like the more links, the better, but you can have higher
Bad
quality links that are super powerful, worth 1,000 times more than a regular link. And then you can have the opposite end of the spectrum, like you were just alluding to, a link that is worse than having nothing at all, right? Because it just tarnishes your reputation in Google. So having that weighted form of link popularity, citation analysis, which is based on the concept that if you look at a bunch of academic peer-reviewed journal articles, the ones that are the most prestigious articles are referencing the most prestigious articles in their references section. So if one of the most important articles of the last 10 years published in Nature or Science, which are the two premier scientific journals, and that won the guy or the gal the Nobel Prize in, let's say, chemistry or something, then it references 50 different other studies and papers, and yours happens to be one of them. That is gold. It's like you just got the golden ticket, right?
Which is far better than those rubbish links, junky links.
Right. Or even just good links. It's like the 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle, but it's more like 98-2.
Yeah.
Like that. Find the 2% of the links that you could acquire that would get you 98% of the benefit.
Yeah. Always comes back to quality over quantity. We talked about E.A.T, and I'd love for you to explain that. I know a lot about it now, but I'd love for the listeners to know more about how to check for E.A.T, what E.A.T is initially, and how to use that when they're not just buying a business, but when they're coming to think of creating content and links as they grow it as well.
Yeah, very important question. 6-parter there.
Yeah, there's so much to it as well.
Okay, so let's start with what the heck is E.A.T.
Yeah.
E.A.T stands for expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. We already discussed trust from the standpoint of you want high trust websites linking to you, and think of pages that link to you as pages that link to you, not as sites that link to you. Mm-hmm. If you got a link from somebody's homepage, that is a super valuable link, probably, if it's a high value website. A link that is buried deep in the site hierarchy, like 10 clicks deep from the homepage, is not going to get you much juice.
Yeah.
Right. It lost a lot of its importance down the chain.
Yeah.
So you want a link from a page that's valuable, not just the site being valuable. And when I say valuable, I mean important and trustworthy. They're trusted. And the trust rank algorithm that came out many years ago, actually out of Yahoo, they published an academic paper about it, was based on this concept that the further you are in terms of number of clicks away from high trust websites, the lower your trust rank should be. So if you get a link directly from Stanford or a link directly from Harvard, like, for example, I got an article published earlier this year in HBR, Harvard Business Review, and it links to my site. Yeah. That's amazing. Now, I also want to check to make sure that that page isn't an orphan page on their site, and it's not, because if they're not linking to it, that's not nearly as valuable as if it's linked to off of, the homepage, or, just probably not off of the homepage. Realistically, it would be like 2 levels deep, and that's totally fine with me. I just want to be associated with Harvard, and that's amazing, right?
Yeah, and Stanford and all of that.
Right. And yeah, speaking of Stanford, I spoke at Stanford. I did it for free, did a tech briefing and a handful of different resources that I offered to the attendees. They linked to every single one of them, all on my website. So that's like 6 different links.
And you did this, guys, for the listeners. He did this before he got anything in return. So he was giving value first, like we're saying.
And I wasn't anticipating getting links from that speaking gig because I just knew that I'd be revealing a lot of light in the world. I'd be adding a lot of value. And if amazing, blessings or abundance comes out of it, that's great. But I'm not going in with the expectation of it. So that's really important I think from a spiritual perspective, because I think of business as a spiritual game.
Exactly. The expectation of karma is, if you're going into something like that, spiritually or unspiritually, it's not good. It can probably do more damage than
Nobody likes a user.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Nobody wants to hang out with somebody who's a juice stealer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was I?
We'll talk about what
answering.
E.A.T stands for, because it was a 6-parter question.
Yeah. So let's go to part 2 now. So E.A.T, really important because you want to demonstrate expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. Yeah. And that trustworthiness comes from high value links, high trust links that are coming from high trust websites, and ideally from high trust pages on these high trust websites. Then how do I convey authoritativeness? Well, if you have, let's say, a really super valuable website in your niche, in your industry, and you've been cited by other industry sources. They may not be high trust sources. You might not have gotten a link from Stanford or National Science Foundation or CERN in Switzerland or FirstGov or anything, but these are in your niche authoritative sites. Yeah, they're authorities, and they are marking you as an authority too, because they're linking to you. So that is valuable. It's also important to show that you are an expert in the field. And if you are not, then bring on experts in the field. So if you're somebody who didn't graduate from high school, that's not a problem. You're not being discriminated against. You just need to bring on subject matter experts who have demonstrated that expertise. You might have only, graduated from high school, and then you didn't take any courses, you didn't get any certifications or advanced degrees or whatever, but at least have some people on your team who are contributing to the site with those kinds of diplomas or certifications or evidence that they have expertise. So let's say they gave a TEDx talk or whatever, that is really going to make you look legit. So let me just differentiate for you and your listeners what it looks like to have E.A.T and what it looks like to not have E.A.T.
Great.
There is a prospect, a cosmetic surgeon, who came to me a while back, and I looked at his site and I just saw pretty pictures of his offices and what looked like stock photos of patients. Didn't look real. No last names, and they're questionable looking first names too, like Daisy and stuff. I'm like, this does not look legit. This
no
does
phone
not
number,
look.
No address, no.
Well, they have a phone number and address to the company, to the firm, to this facility, but they didn't have any identifying details to any of the people who gave testimonials or who provided before and after photos. Now, a lot of people want their privacy, understandably, but then there are people who are happy to get onto a video camera and just rave about the doctor, the facility, right? And so if you look at Doceri Clinics, for example, a client of mine that does stem cell therapy, and I actually got stem cell therapy from, and my wife did too, from him. It was great. And by the way, here's where business karma comes in again, and just like the law of universal kind of spiritual reciprocity.
Yeah.
He decided to hire me to help him with his SEO and his online marketing, with a big website redesign. After, like at the very end of the intro call, where he's going through, here's what the process, the procedure is going to look like and everything. And he said, by the way, do you have a couple minutes? At the end, I really want to talk to you about my website. I'm like, sure, happy to. So that was awesome. But the testimonials area of docereclinics.com has so many videos from big name people like Dave Asprey, the founder of
Oh
Bulletproof,
wow. Yeah, because
saying
I've
this
seen
is
him do
legit.
stem cell stuff in different places all
Yeah,
over his body, and that's where I found out about stem cell because I've actually got his book just over here.
awesome. Yeah, so he gave a wonderful testimonial to Harry, and he's
Mm.
included Harry Dr. Adelson in some of his books. And he speaks
Amazing.
about him on stages. He actually had Harry speak at the Bulletproof Biohacking Conference as a keynoter. That's
Awesome.
how I found out about him. Then I invited
Okay.
him onto my other show. That's another thing too, is we talked about earlier, when you have stuff that's just out there adding value, that's like the stuff that allows people to come up to you and approach you like it's like a singles bar, and they don't have to, it doesn't have to be hard. Somebody approached me very recently, a prospect, who said that a friend of theirs referred the podcast, the Marketing Speak podcast, to them. They started listening. They're like, wow, this guy's amazing. I need to see about hiring him for SEO. So then we had a really powerful conversation that started because of the podcast, not because of a direct referral like, hey, you need to hire this guy for SEO, but you need to listen to this podcast. So this stuff just comes around, it goes around, comes around. It's all pretty awesome the way it all works.
It really is awesome. And for everybody listening in the SEO space, what I want them to understand is, and not just the SEO space, but content and all that sort of stuff, is like, just give. As long as you're giving with the right intention of like, it's going to come back. It may not be specifically from that person or a
Yeah.
link from them, but it will come back.
Yeah. And when you're thinking about like, what am I going to add to my website that adds value and demonstrates E.A.T, demonstrates social proof, et cetera. So that one website of the cosmetic surgeon, you go to his about page and it just shows a picture of him with a wall filled with diplomas, but he doesn't have any text citing where he got his degrees from. So you'd have to like zoom in and try and read what's on the wall.
Yeah.
That's not E.A.T, right? And then conversely, you look at Dr. Harry's website, Docere Clinics, or another great one is Dr. Bill Dorfman, who's a celebrity dentist. I mean, he just oozes E.A.T. It's just every time he steps somewhere, it's like E.A.T is being left behind on the pavement. It's pretty amazing. Like, he has a Guinness World Record. He's the inventor of Zoom whitening. He's got a New York Times best-selling book. He's been the celebrity dentist expert on shows like Dr. Oz and Extreme Makeover and all. It's like, wow, this guy is beyond legit. That's like super credibility. Like, I don't know if you knew this or not, but when Peter Diamandis, he launched or announced the X Prize, so $10 million to the first private space organization that flies up to space with a spacecraft that has to have a passenger on it, and then flies back down and do it again within 2 weeks or something in the same spacecraft, and then they get $10 million. He didn't have the $10 million. Nobody asked him, do you have it in the bank? Everybody just assumed it, and it's because of super credibility.
Yeah.
He had like the former deputy director of NASA on stage with him making the announcement. He had like 8 or 10 astronauts, NASA astronauts on stage with him making that announcement of the X Prize. Nobody thought to ask, where's the 10 million? Can I see it?
Yeah. And on top of that, at a deeper level, is that when you have all those people on stage and when you do release that and it goes public, then your E.A.T just goes up whole nother level.
Yeah. So if E.A.T begets more E.A.T. If I'm a high trust, high authority website and I'm Googling for things and I find you because you have good E.A.T, then I'm likely to cite you. I'm likely to reference you. I'm likely to include you on my resources page or blog about you.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of self reinforcing virtuous cycle.
Exactly. I love it. Let's wrap up there because we've covered so much. And my favorite thing is the business karma and E.A.T and what can come from it. And I want to ask, where can everybody go? I mean, I'm going to put links to your resources, my resources, all that sort of stuff in there. But where's the main place if people just want to go away and find you? Where would they go?
Yeah. StephanSpencer.com. So there's a whole resources area with recordings of past presentations. There's PowerPoint decks, SlideShare decks, just a ton of great like libraries of resources there. And then marketingspeak.com for the Marketing Speak podcast, and getyourselfoptimized.com for all the biohacking, personal development stuff, spirituality, and all that included. And by the way, that resource page that that gift page I'm going to create, marketingspeak.com/Jared, I'll also include on that the E.A.T article I wrote for Search Engine Land, because that's a great primer on why I should care about E.A.T and how to incorporate it into my website.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And on behalf of all the listeners, thank you so much too. Guys, go away and check that out. Links are in the show notes. Thank you so much, Stephan, and I look forward to speaking to you again.
All right. Thank you.
All right, guys, hold the phone. As you know, like I said in the start of this episode, there is 2 parts to this chat with Stephan, and we're doing it in 2 different episodes because there's so much value to give you guys. So go away and listen to part 2 and listen to it all the way to the end, because Stephan and myself are going to give you a very special gift that you don't want to miss out on. So go away and check out part 2, and I'll speak to you soon.